Welcome to the Doktor O'Kay Show. I am Doktor O'Kay, and it is Saturday night's main event number 38 from San Antonio, Texas. And we'll also talk about SmackDown from Austin, Texas as well, where our main headline is just keep showing that unlimited power bomb. But we'll get to that in a minute, so let's start with the first match for Saturday night's main event and just keep pulling out all the stops as Rhea Ripley goes deep into her arsenal before delivering a roundhouse kick and a riptide to retain the Women's World Championship. So Rhea is the ones, and she pulled off some moves we didn't even know she had with a Code Red and an electric chair, as well as a powerbomb, a Uranagi, and a crossbody off the top rope onto the floor. And then finally, she connected on a riptide on her third try, so she has her first successful title defense and goes to 2-0 in one-on-one matches. And that means Nia is the twos, and she used the ropes to her advantage several times, landing a Samoan drop and a leg drop from the second turnbuckle. And she may just have won the match with an Annihilator, but instead of going for the pin, she went for a second one, which somehow allowed Rhea enough time to pull off that electric chair. And while things are now not going Nia's way as she falls to 2-2 in one-on-one matches and 2-5, overall, we have to give her some props for having 7 matches already in January with another week to go, and we know she will at least appear in the Royal Rumble on February 1st. And those 7 matches are already more matches than Roman Reigns had in all of 2024. And we will have to note here that Nia headbutted Rhea during the in-ring introductions, so we'll actually have to say good job for the ref for not immediately ringing the bell, but we will have to give Nia a fine. And this was a hard-hitting affair here with some surprises in it, so we'll give this opening match an okay. So second, we just keep saying someday, but not today, as Sheamus fails for the 10th time to win the Intercontinental title, and both men ran the ropes, but Sheamus missed the Brogue Kick, and then Breakker connected on his spear to retain the IC title. So Braun Breakker is the ones, and he had the move of almost any night with a flying spear, catching Sheamus jumping off of the steps. Truly incredible there. And he also had a pair of gutbusters, a Breakensteiner, and a Gorilla Press Slam en route to his 4th successful title defense. But since we rarely even saw him so far this year, he's 1-0 in 2025. But for Sheamus, he is the twos, and he was seemingly on top of his game, and he scouted Breakker appropriately, stopping a running spear outside the rope by throwing him into the timekeeper's area. He also landed a 10 beats of the Balron, a Celtic Cross, and yes, even a Brogue Kick, but he was too close to the ropes as Breakker was able to get his foot on that bottom rope. So another close call for Sheamus, but close doesn't cut it as he loses his 3rd title match since November, and he's 1-1 in one-on-one matches in 2025. And yes, we will say this was another banger, and we'll give it an okay. In our 3rd match, we just keep going into business for yourself, ref, as the referee does literally everything wrong to lead to an absurd result, as Braun Strowman gets credit for a disqualification win, as the Strowman Express ran out of coal in his 3rd freight train attempt, as Jacob Fatu recovered from the first 2 and landed a Samoan drop over the announce table. Fatu then threw Strowman into the steel steps and landed 6 crushing hip attacks before finally we get to "What were you thinking?" to the ref, because instead of calling for the bell and awarding Fatu a technical knockout, the ref stood in the middle of the ring and prevented Fatu from another hip attack. And so Fatu decided he'd just toss the ref and then did 2 more hip attacks before the ref came to and rang the bell. And then Michael Cole announced that this was to say that the ref had declared Strowman the victor by DQ. Now, normally I would call the WWE Universe stupid idiots, but I have to give them props for this one because they chanted, "Ref, you suck." And they were completely correct as they saw Jacob Fatu become more enraged as he grabbed a steel chair, and then once he got into the ring, he threw it at a WWE official and then clotheslined a second one before hitting 3 mighty moonsaults before Tonga, and the officials finally got him to leave the ring. So why was the referee wrong here? Well, with Fatu going for hip attacks, that means he was running diagonally from one corner all the way to the opposite corner to land each crushing blow. So that means Strowman had plenty of time to move out of the corner and out of the way. But when he didn't move, the ref either needed to let these moves keep happening or determine that Strowman was unable to continue. And if the ref determined that he was able to continue, then they just needed to fight on. But if Strowman was determined to not be able to continue, well, the ref had a duty to ring the bell and award Fatu that TKO. What he absolutely could not do was stand in the middle of the ring to get in Fatu's way. This is simply not a situation where the ref has to get in between the two competitors where one is up against the ropes in order to provide him the opportunity to fight back. Here, like I said, Strowman had plenty of opportunity to move, so the ref had no business getting into Fatu's way. So yes, it was obviously inappropriate for Fatu to lay his hands on the referee, but we've seen so many times where the ref has been contacted either incidentally or on purpose, including just about every single Roman Reigns match during his horrific title reign, and not once was he ever declared a loser, and the bell was never rung by the referee. So the ref here simply went into business for himself and completely missed the call. And quite frankly, Strowman got even more injured, and the ref got 2 WWE officials injured because he missed that call, as it just made Fatu angrier and made him attack Strowman more and take out both of those officials. So simply ref, yet again, what were you thinking? So sadly, with that result, Strowman is the ones, and I think it's time to retire the freight train, as he was not chugging along very quickly at all, as it seemed like he ran out of coal in the engine, but he somehow gets this DQ win, so he's 1-0. And I guess that makes Fatu the 2s, even though he was clearly the better man here, and he was robbed in just his second one-on-one match in his WWE career, so he goes to 0-1 in 2025. And of course, as we said, he simply cannot lay hands on the ref, so Fatu will get a 1-month suspension for that, and then for that post-match attack, including hitting 2 different WWE officials, will have to give Fatu a second 1-month suspension. But because the ref did everything wrong here, it completely ruined a hard-hitting match, so it has to get a double not okay. So that takes us to our main headline and main event, where we just keep having unlimited power bombs, as Gunther somehow survives a super kick, a spear, and an Uso splash to find a way to counter another spear into 2 straight power bombs to retain the World Heavyweight title. So Gunther is the ones, and he seemed to be dominating in typical Gunther fashion for most of the match, before a shocking final burst got him his 5th defense, so he goes to 1-0 in 2025. So Jey is the 2s, and yes, he turned the tide with a sit-out powerbomb and a spear before that trifecta of finishers, but he still came up short, so he goes to 1-1 in one-on-one matches. And yes, this was an incredible ending, but with 2 commercial breaks and not much pace before that, we'll knock it down slightly to an okay. So with that, let's go beyond the mat for Saturday night's main event, where we of course had the contract addendum signing between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. And to get to that, we have to first talk about SmackDown, where Cody Rhodes started the show with an in-ring interview with Joe Tessitore, where he said that KO takes the easy way out 10 times out of 10. And he noted that he's beaten everyone and is a student of Randy Orton, so he said good luck to KO, but this was really a pretty terrible interview, so we're giving it a double not okay, and this led to KO complaining about not getting his own interview inside the ring with Tessitore, and eventually having Rhodes stop him from pile driving Jimmy Uso on top of that announce table, but we'll get back to that very soon. So for now, let's go back to Saturday night's main event, where both men refused to sit and they stood just about a foot apart from each other, and Rhodes decided to sign that addendum immediately, and of course KO did not, because he objected to Rhodes saying that he takes the easy way out 10 times out of 10, and he pointed out that he did not take that easy way out at Bash in Berlin, where he did not attack Rhodes' knee because he cared more about their friendship than Rhodes ever did, which led Rhodes to simply blurt "enough" very loudly. We've now seen him do this multiple times, and I guess that's the only thing he can do, because he has no defense to the truth bombs that KO has been laying. And then HBK got into the act as he called KO jealous. So KO smacked him down too by saying that Michaels quit when things got tough for him, and he's also made that Winged Eagle title mean more than Michaels ever did. So after KO finally signed that contract, and after the referees hung the titles, KO sucker punched Rhodes as he was shaking Michaels' hands, so we do have to give KO a fine for that. So then he also tried to package piledriver on HBK, but Rhodes delivered a super kick, and then Michaels tuned up the band with his own sweet chin music. And while this kind of broke down just like every other contract signing, it was still entertaining enough, so we'll give it an okay. And with that, we do still have to talk about SmackDown, so let's briefly hit on all 6 matches there, so we just keep beating everyone else, because after a surprisingly strong performance by Pretty Deadly, the Motor City Machine Guns capitalized on a second attempt at Skull and Bones to get the win. So the Machine Guns are the ones, and they defeat their third different opponent in 3 weeks. So they quickly go to 3-0-1 in traditional tags, and more importantly, they will get a title shot at DIY at the Royal Rumble in a 2 out of 3 falls match. But Pretty Deadly is the 2s, as they did not get any help after Tommaso Ciampa yelled at them to handle their own business. And while that perhaps spearheaded them on to a more spirited effort, they now have lost 8 straight tags and are 0-2 in 2025. And this match was admittedly fine, but not fine enough, so it gets a not okay. Second on SmackDown, we just keep eating the fat lip as Michin counters an unprettier into an eat defeat to give Chelsea a fat lip and a message from Nick Aldis that she's got another US title match next week on SmackDown. So Michin and B-Fab are the ones, and this was their first tag team match together, and they were effective enough to go to 1-0. Now for Chelsea and Piper, they are the 2s, and this was just their second tag match since last May, so they are still pretty rusty, and they lost both of them, but are 0-1 in 2025. And admittedly, there was not much happening in this match, so it gets a double not okay. Third on SmackDown, we just keep remembering there's a Rumble in a week, as Tiffany Stratton said she's the center of everyone's attention, but Rhea Ripley somehow decided to show up as well, and she joined Tiffy in the ring. So of course, Nia and Candice interrupted as Nia re-declared for the Rumble, saying that she would enter even after she beats Rhea, but we know how that worked out for her. Anyways, Bianca and Naomi also declared for the Rumble, and then Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez also decided to show up, and they too declared for the Rumble. And I guess we have to hope that Candice is also going to get a shot because Nia did not say as much. But we did actually have a 6-woman tag team match here, and after Bianca landed a KOD on Candice, Liv rolled up Bianca from behind to steal the win. So Liv, Nia, and Candice are the ones, as Liv also landed an Oblivion on Rhea, but we'll obviously not see this group again, so they are probably ending at 1-0. But that means Rhea, Bianca, and Naomi are the 2s, and Rhea also riptided Liv on top of Nia, but nonetheless, it wasn't enough. They go to 0-1. But we have to talk how this match happened. It was because Liv simply blabbed her mouth too much, so Rhea headbutted her, which caused a fight to break out, and then Tiffy decided to sneak away, but for Rhea instigating this affair, she will be the one to get a fine. There was a lot of star power in this ring in this match, but nothing really to care about, so we'll give it a not okay. Up next on SmackDown, we just keep going 2 for Tongans as LA Knight knocks Jacob Fatu off of the apron to stop a distraction and then delivers a BFT to Tonga to pick up a win. So LA Knight is the ones, and he got more than just a little part of Tonga that he tried to get against him and Fatu last week, so he gets a win here to go to 2-0 in 2025. That means Tama Tonga is the 2s, and he had another nice head shrinker DDT, but it wasn't enough to put Knight away, so he takes a loss in his first singles match since May 2024, so he's obviously 0-1. Now we have to say here that Tonga also swung and missed before the bell even rang, so we have to give Tonga a fine for at least trying to do that. And then right after the match, Fatu grabbed Knight and did an impressive twisting Samoan drop on top of the announce table, so Fatu will also get a fine here. But Strowman made the save here. That led to a stare down between he and Fatu. But of course we know how well that worked out for Strowman on Saturday night's main event. But while we were disappointed we didn't get more here between those two, it was at least a good lead-in to Saturday night's main event. But for the match itself, we'll give it a not okay. In our 5th match, we just keep chewing up that name as Tommaso Ciampa hit a running knee on Apollo Crews while Gargano distracted the refs. But the Motor City Machine Guns simply walked down the ramp, and that was enough of a distraction for Gargano as Crews rolled him up from behind to pick up a surprising win. So Apollo Crews is the ones, and that was his 3rd straight one-on-one victory, and he's 1-0 in 2025. And that means Johnny Gargano is the 2s, and he was too easily distracted to go to 0-1 in 2025, but he has those tag team titles to worry about next week at the Rumble. And Ciampa, for that running knee, he's gonna have to pick up a fine, but there was not much to see in this match. It has to get a double not okay. Up next, we just keep making a first impression as Damian Priest was revealed as the mystery transfer window acquisition for Carmelo Hayes to have to face, and Priest took him south of heaven with a chokeslam to pick up a win on his debut night. So Priest is the wins, and after this win, he saw Cody Rhodes backstage and said that he would see him soon. So with his first win on SmackDown, he goes to 2-0 in 2025. And Carmelo Hayes was the 2s, and he was able to land a jawbreaker and the first 48, which was better than he could do when he had Strowman as his mystery opponent a few weeks ago. But nonetheless, he still goes to 1-1 in 2025. And admittedly, this was not a bad start for Priest on SmackDown, so we'll give this an okay. And in our main event of SmackDown, we just keep feeling the KO as after exchanging super kicks twice and surviving a spear, Kevin Owens threw Big Jim into the post and then a pop-up powerbomb to pick up a win. So KO is the ones in this one as he got 2 wins in 2 weeks while wearing Naomi's shirt to go to 2-0, and that means Jimmy Uso is the 2s, and it was one of his better efforts, but he drops to 1-1. But we will have to note here that this match happened because earlier in the night, Jimmy interrupted KO, who had just interrupted the announce team when KO was complaining about not getting that interview, but KO correctly said that he'll beat Rhodes just like OSU beat Texas in the college football playoff as he was speaking to Matthew McConaughey. So KO yet again. All right. But Jimmy then slapped KO, so he is the one that picks up a fine here. And then after the match was over, KO had Jimmy on the announce table and he went for a package pile driver, but Rhodes saved that one as well. So those two brawled until we went off the air. But since KO kept up that fight with Jimmy, he will have to get a fine. Again, this was a good, hard-fought match, so we'll give this match an okay. And then beyond the mat for SmackDown, we had Miz surprisingly showing up to SmackDown, and it was revealed by Nick Aldis that he was officially moved through the transfer window. And unbelievably, Miz didn't know about this until Aldis told him. So, wow? So now the superstars don't even get a say in being transferred? He even said that he was the one that helped facilitate the Wyatt Six moving from Raw to SmackDown. So I don't get this. This was almost like a trade, but not really. I don't know. I'm throwing my hands up here. We can't possibly do this transfer window any worse. Double not okay. However, hilariously after this, The Miz sought some allies in fear of the Wyatt Six, and he talked to A-Town Down Under, and he appeared to convince them, as he said that they could start with him in the Marine 7, but then Aldis interrupted them, saying that A-Town Down Under was moved to Raw, which they admittedly seemed pretty excited about. But as you could guess, The Miz was not nearly excited, so later on in the show, he also tried to convince Andrade, and Andrade actually agreed with him, saying that he'll find someone to have his back, but that someone would not be The Miz. And then Jey Uso simply followed up from behind as he was walking to the ring, and he gave Miz a no yeet. We will note, however, that Carmelo Hayes then also followed Jimmy to the ring, and he attacked him before the match, so that will be a fine for Hayes. But since we're going to ignore the transfer window insanity here, we will say that this was all pretty humorous, so we'll give that an okay. We also got a second Charlotte Flair vignette, and she says a goat does not need to call themselves a goat, and indeed, she does not need to, but she in fact is. And she of course declared for the Royal Rumble, but it would have been nice for this to be a surprise, but you know, she is our one true queen, so we'll give this an okay. But conversely, Shinsuke Nakamura also had a vignette where he also declared for the Rumble, and yeah, the US champion should be in the Rumble, and it would have been nice for him to also be a surprise, but we're not giving him the benefit of the doubt, and he'll get a not okay. Well, we had 3 title matches on Saturday night's main event and 3 successful defenses, but if you missed the SportsZu's picks for each of those matches for Saturday night's main event, or him guessing the entire Women's Royal Rumble, be sure to go right on over here to check out both of those videos on the OK Not OK podcast. But if you don't do that, you will mess up almost as badly as that ref did with Jacob Fatu, and you will get a not okay.